Hello, hello, hello. I would normally say hello, Xanaduans, if I was just going to be talking to my Patreon, but we're going to be sharing this with different groups who are also into grid work, energy healing, magic, dragons, and so on. So I'll do a little brief intro for anybody that doesn't know me. I don't know why I just said intro. I am pretty much off the cuff. It's all planned up here, but when it comes out of my mouth, it's going to be however it is. What's funny is I'm recording this on the 12th. I was going to record with someone, and every time we get together, usually we're trying to do it at some point during Mercury retrograde. So that might be our first problem. And then there just always seems to be like something happens. Like last week, it was me, Saturday it was her. So anyway, since I'm in front of the computer, I think this is the universe's way of making me do my homework. So I'm Andrea Land, and I'm known as Grooving Goddess because it was a cool podcast name. I have a lot of musical history. I'm a celestial consciousness. I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. I'm not going to give you my whole history and life story here, but just a little background information. So, I believe we have fractalized consciousness and we each embody different pieces of that. We bring in different pieces of ourselves from different timelines. And so, in this lifetime, I am embodying the consciousness Nemesis or Nemesine. People say it differently. Nemesis is the mother of the muses. She's one of three muse sisters, and then Gaia is our mother. Uranus is our father. Do with that what you will. So the structure of that, it's basically I am embodying a celestial consciousness. And so what that has allowed me to do is learn how to help others fully embody their consciousness from wherever it's traveled all over the universe. And then I also have learned how to take the techniques that I use for that and apply it to grid work. Some of you, may have heard grid work in different ways, or maybe haven't heard of it at all. But basically, what I do, I'm sure you've heard of Reiki. Not everyone has heard of chronic healing, which is an Ayurvedic energy healing practice versus Reiki, which is a Japanese healing practice originally, I believe. And I'm not Reiki, so don't fact check. But at any rate, the chronic healing, which I completely fell into by accident, had no idea what it actually was for a couple of years, to be honest. But that's just how I roll sometimes. So over the last 4 years, I've been studying the Schumann resonances, really. They're the frequencies of the heartbeat of the earth, which actually is between the upper atmosphere and the surface of the earth. It's not inside the earth. That extremely low frequency of 7.83 hertz is a frequency that all life on earth uh, vibes with and is synced up to most of the time. So when that frequency gets really loud, the amplitude goes up, it has an activating effect on your spiritual body, your physical body, your emotional body, your energy field, all of it. And then in the meantime, the effect that it can have from the sun is very similar. Um, right now, we're in a really strong geomagnetic storm. I'm hoping that some people get to see auroras. Fingers crossed. Sky is cloud free right now. It seems like as soon as I said to the universe, okay, I'll tell people that I'm a celestial consciousness and my mother is Gaia and that I can help them talk to her and embody their consciousness and I'm the universal library and all of these things. I expected a little more cooperation. So I've been studying all the space weather, the eclipses, the meteor showers, the Schumann resonance, all of it. And wouldn't you know, every damn time there are aurora or there are eclipses or there are meteor showers, we get clouds here, which makes no sense where I am in Colorado because we actually have more sunny days than LA. So completely unacceptable up there, everybody. Please get to work clearing those clouds next time. I suppose I should deploy some dragons, but I figure they have more important things to do. So by applying the same technique of expanding out your unconditional love frequency into a sphere around you for your own, um, not necessarily protection, but it really makes you your own universe in a way because that unconditional love frequency transmutes anything you encounter that is uh, out of resonance with you. So I will do a little demonstration or how to of that because it will help you with grid work as well. So I started using that as a way to work with um, general healing of land, water, um, working with storms, paying attention to fires and earthquakes and all of those things. And I started working with dragons. And I just remembered, I might have to pause this. I think my dragon deck might be upstairs and I'll be needing that because I have little notes on the back of the ones that are specifically geared towards grid work, but it doesn't even have to be that complicated. So before I get into the dragon magic part and what we're going to try to do here, I'm launching two projects right now, and you can work on both or one or none. It's entirely up to you. I know I'll be sending this out to my friend Sage to explore with her people, and a lot of you have signed up as patrons, and thank you so much for that. And feel free to share this with anyone else you think would enjoy it or any other groups who might want to participate and do their own thing. I am probably going to make this public on YouTube, I guess. That makes me a little heebie-jeebie, but I'm sure it'll be fine. We are making sure that everything that I'm saying is divinely tuned and I'm not giving poor instructions, and that nobody who isn't meant to be doing this or have this information will not participate. There we go. So the only reason I hesitate with the public thing, besides people appropriating content and doing a lot of copying, which at this point, pretty soon, it's all just going to be stuff we're pulling from the air anyway. So where it came from doesn't even matter so much anymore. It's who you resonate with, what you want to listen to, that kind of thing, kind of like picking your genres of music that you like. So the thing with the grid work is I need to be very clear that our intention is not to protect property or to interfere with any of the natural process of the earth or with Gaia. What my mother, Pachumama, Gaia, Tiamat, Mother Earth, many names. What my mother has told me is that what we are to do and what I've been teaching my patrons to do and what I've been doing myself for 4 years now is to protect innocent life. Animals, people, we are animals, but sometimes people forget that. And uh, we are allowed to help um, weaken or temper the process that's going on that we're trying to assist with. So, for instance, my team worked on Hurricane Beryl, and at the last minute, right before it struck Jamaica, where the love of my life is, it moved south 75 miles. The weather people had no clue why it was happening. They also had no clue why the eye broke up. And, granted, it was still a bad mammager and it kind of reformed a little and then, went around to Texas and to the Gulf. but we are capable of making these changes. And what my inner knowing has been telling me for a long time is that the more of us there are, now we're coming up with so much adaptive technology and ways to capture carbon and all of that. By the way, in case anyone is new to me, this is not happening because we caused it. We just exacerbated a normal cycle of Earth that happens about every 100,000 years. So I want to put that out there because guilt and shame kind of interfere with your energy flow. And a lot of people have very difficult feelings around climate change, understandably, right? But we have all these adaptive technologies and different things coming out. However, I'm so sure that the more people who learn how to do this, the more we will be able to help the planet transition, help the planet uh, get up to the next frequency that it's trying to exist at, get to the next dimensional frequency that Earth is wanting to express. And part of what storms, especially hurricanes, are is trauma. It's the history of all the things, especially the last 400 years. Once we started, you know, imperialism and then industrialization and all that, it was inevitably kind of a downward spiral for a while. Not enough uh, feminine or receptive energy and all masculine pushing, building energy. So here we are, and we're trying to balance all that out. So in the meantime, uh, in my channeling, my communications, my meditations, because at this point, she feels like a voice in my head quite a lot. I do intentional meditations and take trips to go see her, where she likes to express as a more human formed consciousness than a whole planet. She has told me that we are the first civilization on Earth, like the first collection of humans on Earth that have the consciousness awareness, the technology, basically all of the things that we need to help her help us. What I mean by that is a lot of people, and that seems to be changing now, but a lot of people have held the attitude that, Gaia's pissed at us and she's just going to shake us off like a bad cold. And if you stop for a minute and think about that, she's our mother. Whether you're from Venus or Mintaka or Arcturus or whatever you feel connected to when you're not in these human bodies and these biosuits, we are her children, no matter where we were born, who we came out of. So while you're here, your life is precious to her. And she doesn't want to wipe us out. Um, she's been waiting a very long time, millions of years, for us to get to the point where we had uh, the awareness of consciousness combined with the sheer numbers of population to be able to ride out this period of time, without it being like a catastrophic event like the Great Flood or Atlantis sinking or any of those kinds of things. So she wants us to assist with this process because in former cycles like this, um, and any time really that her children are wiped out by her natural processes, He's not happy about it. So I don't want to get myself all sappy because there's geomagnetic storms and I'm going through second puberty. And anyway, I'll explain that later. Welcome to the TMI and oversharing of Grooving Goddess. So we can use all of that energy and that knowledge to really make a difference this time. So we have two projects we're going to be focusing on. One is moving the smoke plumes north, and I will load up some graphics so that you can see what I'm talking about. I always need visuals, cannot live without them. And then the other project that we need to work on is cooling the Atlantic Ocean and the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico. If we can focus on cooling the ocean, it will give the hurricanes less fuel. It will starve them out so that they don't get above a Cat 2, which is still a hurricane. Things are still going to get trashed in different places, but it will not be the kind of devastation that we saw a month ago. Uh, so, how do we, um, whatever that is, I have no idea. I have been trying to figure it out for a while, and it happens on different computers, different devices, different recording platforms, different lighting scenarios. Uh, so I'm either becoming a glowworm or I'm absorbing light or something. Um, doesn't matter. But for emanating that unconditional love frequency, there are many ways to do it. And perhaps if this is going out to other mentors out there, you have your own way of, teaching your students how to do that. So I'll just tell you what I do and what I teach people in the Patreon. And if that works for you, you can take it away. And there are other videos up on YouTube as well, which I will link in the comments of this so that if you want more explanation of those things, you can go look. But first, the basics, if you're going to be engaged in doing grid work, which I'm not going to go into this right now. You can go listen to my podcast and find out about that. But a lot of you have probably been doing it in your sleep unconsciously your whole life. Uh, People who gravitate towards this tend to have that profile. And one of the advantages of learning how to do it consciously, besides the, bringing your full consciousness and awareness of self into the body, which is what makes us empowered fully, it also allows you to have a more loving feeling, basically, when you're out in the world. And funnily enough, the reason I discovered this and the reason this happened was my desire to have more harmony with a lot of people around me in 2020 who didn't think like me at all. And I was immune compromised, so I had to wear masks, and then people were mad at me because I was wearing a mask. I'm like, I'm not telling you to, and you do what you want. So it was an effort for me to just kind of work on my own small little area. And as I started doing this, I started noticing that like the neighbors who fought all the time stopped fighting, and the kids who were always crying seemed to be doing better. And the dogs who are always barking would chill out. And so I started working on this as a daily practice and saw more and more how effective it was. And so eventually, as I was personally practicing this, I was able to expand it out large enough to encompass the earth and to feel that oneness, not only with Gaia, Mother Earth, but with everyone and everything on the planet. Very profound feeling, obviously. And I'm sure a lot of you have had it in different meditations or practices that you do. So it's basically that feeling, the ability to emanate your unconditional love. So it's a very simple thing that I do. We just do a 4-4 breathing pattern. You're breathing in for 4, into the belly, and then uh, holding that breath for 4, releasing the breath for 4, and then pausing before you take in more air for 4. So the 4-4 breathing, the purpose of those pauses and holds is to reset your vagus nerve and to calm your body. I need to calm some dogs right now, apparently. Calm your body and prepare your nervous system to get in a more meditative state and be able to use your energy in that way. Uh, Over time, if you find that this is helpful for you, it'll actually start giving you energy and make it a little more comfortable. Like if you're someone who has trouble in crowded places, or you just had a leveling up or a new awakening of your consciousness and you kind of feel like a raw nerve, this really helps. That's where it came from for me because I multidimensionally expanded and then I had a nervous breakdown for 3 months because uh, it kind of went through my life like a wrecking ball, kicking everything that wasn't working away. And also just, it felt like I felt the whole entire world all the time. And it was very uncomfortable. So once you've been doing the breathing for a little bit, then what you're going to want to do, and it's helpful to have your eyes closed while you're doing this. You can hold on to a rose quartz crystal or some other quartz if you like. And what I do is, as I'm breathing in crown source energy in through my crown, breathing in that source energy. And then I'm breathing out kind of like anything that needs to be released at that time. And then after I've done that for a little bit and I'm feeling calm and relaxed and ready to be engaged, I it's so weird having to reverse engineer what you do and it becomes really automatic. But once I feel like I'm in a good flow and I'm not having any blocks or, like a lump in my chest or anything I need to get out. And sometimes I will tell you, the first time you really connect with Mother Earth, uh, you'll probably cry like a baby, possibly, because it's such a profound, it's like the best mom hug you ever wanted, but maybe didn't get. Or maybe you did, now they're not here anymore. So as you're breathing in and breathing out, I want you to think about something or someone that makes you feel glee and absolute joy. Like when you were a little kid and you saw your favorite person or your best friend or a puppy, just, anything, or as an adult, things that make you happy, bring you joy. I want you to focus on that feeling and then let that grow in your solar plexus. And as you're breathing out, you're going to start breathing out that beautiful rose quartz unconditional love frequency. It looks like a rose quartz mist, and let that mist with each out breath build a sphere around you so that you can completely encase yourself, right? And that's the most basic version of it. I'm not going to go into the long version for this, but you want to do that first before you attempt to do any grid work. There's a video on Hurricane Beryl that I'll give you. There's a video on Hurricane Ida that I'll give you because that was the first time that we did this. With hurricanes, I like to call it storm eating because when I'm in that multidimensional space of being consciously awake and also uh, in my Titan sized energy body that really needs water, I'm as tall as the hurricane and I'm literally eating that energy to slow it down. So I'm standing in the face of the rotation and eating it, which probably sounds wild, but it does seem to work. And it is quite a release of so much trauma from the last 400 years or so. And it really helps Gaia. And then the hurricane becomes less intense. And so less innocent people in the way are harmed, especially in the Caribbean. So once you have put that bubble around yourself, you can try, storm eating with hurricanes. You can try uh, asking dragons to bring rain to fires that need it if they're meant to be put out, um, or just general protection for the people and wildlife in those areas. You can use it to make energy protection grids over areas where there's conflict, like places where there's protests where people are being fired upon, those sorts of situations. And you can use it to move the smoke plumes and cool the ocean, which is what we're going to try to do. So I'm going to pause this for a minute because I really need to go grab that dragon deck. Or do I? Do you want me to do that? Okay, I'm not supposed to do that. Not because you don't need it. It's just not important right now, and it's going to use too much of my energy. Uh, so for dragon magic, it's helpful to feel some sort of a connection or relationship with them. It it doesn't necessarily matter that you can see them with your eyes or whether you hear them, with your mind's eye or are like clairaudient with it or you directly see them. They can be giant, they can be tiny, but most of the time when you're going to be meeting them, they meet you in that larger form. It's helpful to be in a field or a wide open space sometimes. Mine just hangs out on my roof, my own personal dragon, not the one that I like. Because the thing is we're going to be asking, there's an unlimited number of dragons, and they've been waiting as long as Gaia has been waiting for us to figure this out, to be um, they want to be of service. That's why they're here. They talk about how dragons patrol the ley lines on the planet, and they live for this. uh, Alpha dragons, for instance, those are great up in space. If you're having a lot of discomfort from the solar activity, you can ask for an alpha dragon to come shield you and hang out with you. Uh, Dragons can also appear as people sometimes. Not a living, breathing person that I've met yet, but certainly as visitors. I started having one that was showing up as a person a little while ago, and it was very, not creepy, but just kind of funny at first because I was like, well, you kind of look human, but I'm pretty sure you're not. So what's going on here? And they found it really amusing, that I didn't quite get it without them being obvious. So with what we're going to be doing, moving the smoke plumes, I asked for water dragons and earth dragons to go through the area, and I'll bring up a picture in a minute, to go through the area and push them up, like push the smoke up. So if you imagine you're seeing, however many dragons you're feeling, but imagine if all the way across the North American continent, we're each sending dragons to push the smoke plumes north so that they dissipate. And also the water. helps to clean the air. The earth helps to clean the air as well. It helps to absorb what's going on because we don't. Part of the reason we don't want to send a bunch of rain to a fire area or an area that's just been burned is because the the runoff will cause flooding then because the soil isn't ready to absorb a bunch of water at that point. That's what partly makes all of this so difficult. But, as I was saying earlier, our imperative is to make things as comfortable for life on the planet as we can during these processes, but also not interfere with them. And so, what I saw for years ago starting to happen is that people who were wanting to do grid work were like, bring rain to the fires, or, do this or do that. And they were obvious things that you would think would work, but they weren't, they were unintentionally not respecting like Earth's sovereignty, and not respecting Earth's processes and maybe just not aware that dumping a bunch of water on an area that's just burned can cause other problems on top of it. Uh, so, for the smoke plumes, which I'm going to pause myself here so I can bring it up and then I'll come right back. That is going to be our first project. And I'm really excited about this experiment because it is measurable. Last time, I mean, the smoke plumes happen every summer, but last time we had the whole North American continent covered like this. It stayed for months. It doesn't just dissipate. It went all the way to Europe. Sorry, Kate in the UK. And we have an opportunity to push that out of the way because if it moves as quickly as I think it's going to and dissipates, it will make no sense why it happened meteorologically and atmospherically. Right. Yes, allow, please. I have a new rig here. So every time I do anything, it asks me for permissions at this point, which isn't such a bad thing. But all right, so we're at fire.airnow.gov, and what this will show you at any given point is what smoke plumes are over your area. My valley here was inundated for a little while, but thankfully, I mean, I've been working on this project for a little while now, but we also did have some rain. So you can see what I'm talking about. Big old smoke plumes, right? So these smoke plumes, they are a culmination of all of the fires, but the reason the smoke plumes are so insidious and why they're different is because they are made of what's called fine particulate matter. And those fine particulates are way up in the upper atmosphere. They're not down on the ground where the sensors are picking it up always. And it doesn't always show up on your AQI that it's even above you. And it gives people sore throats, coughs, sinus issues, your eyes, you know, feel like they got roasted. And the fine particulates that are in this can be and are wood alcohol, arsenic, turpentine, never mind whatever other chemicals or things may be burned up along the way. But just strictly talking about wildfire smoke, it is some pretty toxic stuff. I'm even considering getting some respirators in case it ever comes in the valley so badly that we have to evacuate and can't breathe outside. But at any rate, you can see how giant this is. So I'll take a little, I mean, we have it here, but I'll take a screenshot, some screenshots of it to let us see where the border is. There we go. So right now, this is the only part of the North American continent that doesn't have smoke plumes and neurotoxins over it. So that's the other thing is they can make you have a headache. It can make you tired. It can make you just emotionally off. It's neurotoxins. It's not good for you. There's a reason we're not supposed to breathe it. And figuring out that wildfires did this was quite a help to me because I didn't understand why I was feeling so horrible. So, anyway, starting today, let's just push that north. And what's going to happen is when it gets up here with more of the ice and water, it's just going to dissipate and then it will get processed through Earth's natural filtering system. That's part of what Earth dragons are going to be helping with. And then, of course, the air dragons and the water dragons help to clean the air as well and push it north. So, if we can ask the water dragons to push that smoke plume north and the water and earth dragons to help dissipate it and filter it out of our atmosphere, that would be fantastic. So today is August 12th. I'm going to get this up and out to a bunch of people as soon as possible. So I'll make sure I take a good screenshot of this on my phone afterwards so that we have more documentation of when we started this project and what kind of results we have. Because as you can see, this is a health issue to the max. And I just think with allergies and the fire smoke on the ground and everything else going on, plus a lot of places have pollution. One of the advantages I have here is that we have zero pollution on my part of Colorado. So uh, I notice these things because I'm used to clean air. But sometimes if you live in a city area, you may not even see it. So that's our first project is asking the earth, air and water dragons to push this north and dissipate it. Let's see, what's the next thing I need to show you? I want to show you, and actually I can just sort of use this for it. All right. So an interesting thing about hurricanes that I hadn't really paid attention to until recently is that they start off the coast of Africa. That's where they form. And so, much like the Saharan dust that floats across, the hurricanes are a release of the trauma of the entire landmass of Africa. So, this big area of ocean, I figure pick whatever part of the ocean you like. You can imagine a dragon so big that the earth is like a snowball to it or basketball, or you can, imagine a whole army here or whatnot. But what we want is ice dragons to come cool the ocean. And in case you're worried that would be a bad thing, it's not. Because what has happened is that the water temperature is so hot in the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico and over here where the storms form that reef life, different species and things, they're dying because the water is too hot. So the temperature of the ocean has gone up so much that we basically can't screw this up. So I will note from the NOAA website where it gives you ocean temps. I will make a note of what the temps are currently in those areas, the ocean surface. And then in a couple weeks, maybe we can see where we're at. So, what you're going to want to do is ask the ice dragons to come and simply cool off the oceans. You can visualize that pretty much any way you want to. So, before you're going to use any of these techniques, like I said, we want you to do, there we go, I'm back. We want you to do your, oh, this is weird because now it's not, is it flipped or not flipped? Hold on, I'm having a brain meltdown. I can't stand it when it's weird. Okay, all right. It's really funny. Mhm. You know what I'm gonna do? I know what I'm gonna do. Mm, thank you for letting me fix that. Not that you would have known either way if I didn't tell you, but when you're used to a thing and then it's different, it's just, whoop, my brain's gone. So you always want to put that protection, unconditional love sphere around you. And once you do that once and you really feel that love frequency that you've built around yourself, that can just be around you all the time. You can travel the world with that around you and move your way through your day, basically. I've had some funny experiences where I've tested the efficacy of this practice. As I told you, originally it was me trying to not um, have animosity towards my neighbors in general, half the town or more. So I found that what happens is you can really affect and improve the mood around you. That unconditional love sphere, it's a passive energy. It doesn't force, it doesn't, make someone release anything or make someone wake up or any of that, but it kind of blesses everything it touches and everyone it touches with just a little bit more bliss, that feeling of glee that maybe they're missing. So what I started doing is I would do experiments and one day I was in a, big box store of some sort. Doesn't matter which one. And we're all in line. It's a pet store and I'm just getting some supplies I can only get there in spite of not wanting to shop there. Uh Big box pet stores do bad things. So I'm standing there, I'm wearing a mask. 'Cause, it's still a panini and, very crabby, immediately hostile gentleman next to me not wearing any and giving me dirty look. So I just went, how about instead of reacting at all to this, I just take some breaths in and expand out that energy around me and see what happens. I kid you not, they suddenly started being nice. They even invited me to go in front of them for absolutely no reason because I was in line at another register and was almost there. Then another time, I was driving on one of the main drags in town, and this guy, like we all do it. I've done it when you're in a hurry to go somewhere and you're kind of driving like you're in some kind of race and trying to pass everybody, even though there's no point in doing that. It's not really gonna get you there any faster. So, I could tell he was just like pissed at the world. So I thought, I wonder what would happen if I did that right now in traffic and just sort of kept pace with him. And it was really funny because I did it. He tried, there were no cars in the way in front of me. Okay. He tried to pass me. He got about a car length ahead and then he just like couldn't. And then I could feel that. And so anyway, we're at the next light together, and his whole demeanor, and his energy and everything were completely different. So if there's anything like that going on in your immediate proximity, it's a good way to test it out. And just know that you're not violating any sovereignty or anything because this is a frequency that just exists in the world all the time anyway. And the more you emanate, the better off we'll all be. So I think that's probably everything for the grid work instructions and deployment for now. We have a hurricane that is developing. So if you want to be involved in that, please sign up for my Patreon. It is free. Yes, you heard that right. It is free. I will have paid tiers eventually, but I will still have a free tier and I will never gatekeep this information. And I will never not share it with those who show up at my Patreon doorstep because so much was gate kept from me throughout my life that uh, I don't want to say it held me back from getting to where I am now per se, but it certainly made it a lot more difficult and made me reject a lot of things simply because they just didn't resonate with me at all because I could tell that the intention was more money grab, manipulation. Um, you know what I'm saying. So, thank you to all of the mentors out there who are going to share this with your peeps. Thank you for all of the people that watch this and share it with your friends who are into the same thing, whether it's dragon magic, grid work, land blessing, water blessing, or you would just like to practice some of these things and have some fun with it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will come back with that's what I'll do. All right. So I'll keep track of the progress of those things and what happens if I notice any changes or I don't. And I'll make another one in 2 to 4 weeks. Kind of depends on what's going on because if we get another hurricane barrel, I'm going to be busy for a little while. That I'm hoping this time, there I go glowing again. I'm hoping this time, and it's not the lighting either. It's not the lighting doing it. Uh, I'm hoping this time that I will be a little better able to not be so physically affected. I think partly because someone I really cared about was there, I was just out of my body for several days, and that's not always good. So remember to take a breath, remember to laugh, and remember to listen to whales. Whale song is very healing, cetaceans in general. Their set point of frequency is 30 hertz. So 3 times what everybody else on Earth is. And to me, that tells me they're rocking some pretty powerful frequencies. Much love.